Today, let's turn a t-shirt into a tote bag. Welcome, I do sewing and DIY related content, and today we are going to be turning this t-shirt into a tote bag. So I found this t-shirt online, thought it would be perfect for one of my friends, but I never know what sizes to get people, and I was like, why not just turn this into a tote bag that they'll be able to use over and over and over again. So the first step for this was I laid out my t-shirt and figured out exactly where I wanted the front of the tote bag to be, so making sure I got the whole print of the shirt, lining it up with a ruler, and then cutting it so that I could get that nice rectangle that would be used for the main portion of the tote bag. The larger the shirt size for this, the easier it will be to cut out that print, so just something to think about if you are looking at different shirts that you could use for the tote bag itself. Next, I trimmed off the hem at the bottom of the shirt, as I'm not going to be using that, so that I could have a nice straight edge that would allow me to then be able to get two straps that I could use for my bag. I wanted to have as little waist as possible, so I just cut all the way through so that I'd have the full width of the shirt, and then I'm just going to cut this in half so that I have those two separate pieces that I could use for two straps. Next, it was just time to cut out a piece for the back of my tote bag, which I did by using the back of the shirt. So this way I could have all of those pieces combined, so I have the front and back of my tote bag as well as those straps. Now, again, I wanted this to be as little waste as possible, so all of this extra pieces of the t-shirt I'm just going to keep, and I'll probably use it as scrap material when I'm testing out other knit mix fabrics, as it can be a really great way to make sure your sewing machine is in good shape before you sew. Now, I do need to cut out a lining for my bag, so I'm just going to be using this white cotton, and I'm going to be cutting out the exact same front and back sizing, and then I'm also going to be cutting out two straps from this cotton material that will be used to help give our straps a little bit more shape and structure. So with all of this done, it was then time to start sewing. So because this t-shirt is a knit fabric, you are going to want to use either a knit foot or a walking foot, just being careful that you are using some sort of different foot that will allow it to be easier to work with knits. If you do not have a knit foot, there are lots of different resources available online that have tips and tricks for how to sew with knit fabrics. I just find that this knit foot works really well and gives really clean results. So now it's time to start working on the straps. So for the straps, you can see I have the one piece that's coming from the t-shirt and another piece of fabric that is coming from that cotton material. And for this, the cotton material is going to act as almost like a stabilizer for us, as it is not stretchy as that t-shirt is stretchy. So what we're going to do is just place these with right sides together, and then I'm going to use quilting clips, but you could definitely use pins. Basically just pinning up both long sides of the straps for both of the straps themselves. And then once you have that done, what we're going to be doing is taking a seam along both long edges, and this is going to allow us so that we'll have that opening for the short edges that will allow us to turn these right side out, so that we'll be able to use them for our straps. So now I'm just going to go through and sew these straps together, so specifically being sure I'm back stitching at the beginning, having it all nice and lined up, and then just taking a straight seam all the way through. Since one of these is knit, you may be tempted to use a lightning stitch or a zigzag stitch, but you do not need to do that. You can just use a straight stitch and sew both these pieces together and repeat that for the second strap. So once both straps are sewn up, it is now time to trim this to get it all nice and neat, and now we're going to be turning it right side out. So specifically using those shorter openings, just going to open your strap and turn this right side out so that the right side of material is facing the correct way. Now you're going to repeat this for both straps so that you have them ready to go, and then we will be pressing them out so they are nice and flat and smooth. So now it is time to finish off our straps, so to make them a little bit sturdier. And what I mean by this is I'm going to be folding my straps very similar to how you would fold bias tape. So folding it so that each of the edges come in towards the middle, and then I am just going to be using quilting clips to hold this in place on either side. And why I'm doing this is because it's going to give us a really strong and sturdy strap, doing this all the way down the strap and then repeating it for the second strap. And then we're going to be taking 4 seams, so one on the outside and then one on the inside, and then repeating this for that second fold as well. And it's just going to give us a really nice and clean, neat look, and it's going to give us a really sturdy strap. So as you can see, I have everything folded as it was before, and now I'm just going to take those 4 seams. So starting on that outer seam, I am just going to take a straight stitch all the way down. Now I'm going to take a second stitch where I'm going towards the center, so making sure that I'm getting both edges, and then I will repeat this for the other side. Now once you have this completed for all your straps, it's now time for us to start working on our bag. So I have the right sides of my bag together, and I am just going to take a stitch all the way around, sewing up 3 of these 4 edges, being sure that the top stays open. Now I'm going to be starting off with the outside of my bag, so this is the t-shirt material, so be sure you're still using your walking foot. Now I'm going to take the lining and do the exact same steps for it that I just did for the outside of the bag. So putting these with right sides together, and I am just going to be pinning up 3 of these 4 edges. So the bottom edge as well as the 2 side edges, using my quilting clips just to pin these up all the way. Now the one thing I will say is that we do want to make sure that we are leaving an opening at the bottom. So you can see where those 2 quilting clips are, I'm going to leave that open. And this is going to allow us to be able to turn our bag once we really start to do the construction. So right now I'm just going to take a seam all the way around, leaving that opening in my bag at the bottom, and then trimming any extra fabrics that I have along the edges so that it looks nice and neat. Now I'm going to turn the outside of my bag so it is the right side out, and I am going to put the right sides of the bag as well as the right side of the lining together. So you can see that this is what the right side of my bag looks like. I have the outside of it. I'm going to now put the right side of my lining into the bag itself so that the right sides of the lining and the outside of the bag are matching. Now I'm just going to get it so that it's all laying nice and flat and smooth, and I'm going to very slowly match up these top edges and pin them together so that I'm able to take a seam all the way around. Now during this, we also need to be sure that we're attaching our straps. So the straps are where we just added those nice 4 rows of stitches, and I'm just going to trim this off so it looks nice and neat, and I'm going to insert it into my bag, so between the right side of the outside and the right side of the lining. And now I am just going to pin this in place using my quilting clip. So you can decide how you want it to be facing. I am just going to be putting my bag in though. So you can see the strap is here on my bag, and I am just going to be pinning this in place so that when I take that seam, I'm also picking up that strap so that it is attached to the bag too. And now I'm just going to put the strap all the way into the bag, making sure that I still have that other edge of the strap that I'm able to see. And then I'm just going to be marking where I want that strap to go as well. So as you can see now that I have most of it lined up, and I'm going to do the exact same steps that I did before. So having it so that the strap is essentially sandwiched by the right side of the outside of the bag and the right side of the lining. And I'm just going to using my quilting clips to make sure that the fabric is all laying nice and smooth and making sure everything is in place. And now I'm just going to repeat all of these steps for the other side of the bag, including adding that second strap. I'm just lining them up with exactly how I had lined up the first strap, and we are just going to take a seam all the way around now. So this is why we needed to have that opening for our lining so that we have something that we're able to push all of this through. So this way we are able to just take one continuous seam to sew up the outside of the bag and making sure that our straps are attached. So now I'm just going to go through, trim off any of this extra fabric, any little extra pieces that are going to be bulky so that it's easier for us to turn the bag right side out. Once it is all nice and cleaned, you can then go to that opening in your lining and just very gently pull your bag to come through that opening. And this is going to give you a really nice way that you can see what your bag looks like. Everything's coming together. Your straps should also be coming out themselves. So this is currently what my bag is looking like. It looks really good. And at this point, the last step we need to really do is do a top stitch around the entire top of our bag, as well as sew up that little hole that we had that we pulled all of this through for the lining. So now I'm just going to go through and do that top stitch. And of course, with any of these stitches, be sure you are back stitching at the beginning and the end so that they stay nice and secure. So now our final step is just to close off that hole that we had to turn our bag right side out. I'm just going to use a machine stitch for this, but you definitely could have hand sewn it as well if you want to give it a little more of a hidden look. So this is what our bag looks like. It turned out really, really nicely. The straps are nice and secure because we did those 4 stitches and everything came out really well with it. It has been top stitched, and we were able to reuse a t-shirt. So I think this is a great way if you have a lot of t-shirts laying around your house, you can do something with it and you can be able to have your t-shirt that you really like, or if there's a t-shirt that doesn't fit you, this is just another item that you can do to reuse that shirt instead of throwing it away. If you like this video and you want to see more, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know what you want to see next. Thanks for watching.